Well, it's just writing. I consider novelists real writers. Now, I actually consider screenwriters real writers too. And there's a whole aspect about the fact that screenwriting conceivably could be harder because of how you have to deliver within a certain page count in a way that a novelist doesn't have to some degree or another. It has more freedom as far as that's concerned. But I was listening to a podcast out of Australia where they were kind of going through a bunch of my screenplays, and they'd actually read the screenplay. So they were actually quoting things from the scripts that didn't make the movie. And then they were talking about how I would do these things in the scripts that will never play out in the movie. I'll give you one example of it, actually. Okay, in Kill Bill, there was a whole sequence that was taken out of the film where after the bride gets out of her coma and she's in the pussy wagon, she, it was in Texas somewhere, so she drives way out into the panhandle and she comes across this oil derrick. And the idea is she has stashed all this shit in the ground. So, she's going to dig up a hole and pull out a footlocker, and it's going to have passports under a zillion different names. It's going to leave all kinds of money for her and all kinds of weapons, and this is what she's going to use to go on her revenge. But in the script, the way I have it written, she's looking for a rock. And she finds the rock, and then on the underside of the rock is an X, and then from that rock she's going to walk 10 spaces, and that's where the footlocker will be buried. However, in the script I write, she turns over the rock, finds the X. If the X hadn't have been there, if she couldn't find the rock, she would have taken it as a sign that her revenge was never supposed to happen, and she would have dropped the entire idea. And so they make a big point about, yeah, well, he does that, and you're never going to get that across in the movie and whatever, but, he does it anyway, and why does he do that? And that's so strange that he would do that. I kind of like it, but that's so weird. It's writing. That's what writers do.
Exactly, yeah.
I've never understood the concept of a screenplay just being a blueprint for the movie. I do write them like novels. This is true with
you. Yes, this is true with you, yeah.
I do write them like novels. I mean, it's not crazy prose, that goes on forever, but there is a commitment to the prose. And there is a literary narrator.
Yes.
Talking to the audience who is reading it. And these scripts are meant to be read. I mean, to such a degree, to almost a crazy degree, in the case of something like Inglourious Basterds or Django and even Kill Bill, to such a degree that basically I've written a movie that really can't be done. It's so not a blueprint. It is so a novel, with the exception of the dialogue broken down the way it is in a screenplay format, that I am stuck on set every day adapting my novel into a movie every day. And like big sequences, I know, I'm never going to film that. Right. But I don't know exactly which ones they're going to be until I get there, and then we cut them out of the film because the movie will be too long, it'll be too much money to shoot that sequence. But in the reading of the script, they were important.
Yeah,
they were important for their overall piece. Hateful Eight is a little bit, is a little bit more the play's a thing, all right. But I didn't have to figure it out so much the way I had to figure it out. But a lot of the things you're asking, though, I mean, it's just writing. I'm just committing to writing it. But in the same token, when you're talking about like a novelist, it's like in a novel, you have an idea where you're going with the piece.
Yes.
And I think like when you've written a novel, my guess would be that at least for the first half of the novel, you have a really good idea what might end up happening, where your characters might end up going. Mm-hmm. But you can't even begin to really think about what's really going to happen in the second half because that was before you committed to being the characters. It was before you committed to being the page and creating the world. So I literally, after a certain point, it's the characters that are going through the story and they're telling me what's going on. Even in the case of, like, say, The Hateful Eight. Without giving too much away, there's an aspect of, I'll say this much. I won't normally say it, but I will say it here. There's a case of a poisoned pot of coffee. I didn't know who poisoned the coffee for a long, long time. I didn't want to know. I didn't do the mystery thing where you solve it all and then write backwards. But not only that, even in the case of The Hateful Eight, as opposed to normally, since knowing the other characters can trust anything that the other characters are saying. They say who they are, and you have to take them as that or not. I didn't want to know any more than the other characters did about the characters. So, when Chris Mannix shows up and says he's the sheriff, is he? Is he not? Well, I don't know yet. I'm not sure. I only know what John Ruth knows about him.
Right.
I only know what Major Warren knows about him. And all the way down the line, even when it came to arriving at Minnie's haberdashery, and there's four other people there, I didn't know who those four other people were per se. I let them reveal themselves to me. By the time we did the movie, I had to know who all those characters really were and where they came from in order for me to talk to the actors about it. But in the first draft, I didn't want to know any more than a viewer or one of the other characters would know.